Smith Show starts right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 250-plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM listing nearest you, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Stephen A. Smith Show, obviously. Straight Talk Wireless, one of the people that we communicate with, supports this show. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks. Let's get right to it. Lots of stuff to get into today. A lot of NFL action to talk about tonight. Derek Carr, Oakland Raiders, Antonio Brown. They're set to go up against Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. We're looking forward to that. For some reason, Aaron Rodgers playing in a preseason game is actually news, which is very, very insulting to me. One of the greatest quarterbacks, I think the greatest talent at the quarterback position we have ever seen, is playing in a preseason game tonight, a meaningless preseason game tonight, and y'all want to act like it's back page news. He's Aaron freaking Rodgers, okay? Preseason games means nothing to him. He has nothing to prove. His greatness has been validated and authenticated throughout the years. Over the last 2 years, broken collarbone, week 3 or 4 against Minnesota and Anthony Barr, he goes down for the rest of the season. Last year, he gets injured game 3 into the season and still plays the rest of the season. And oh my God, stop the presses, because he was god-awful. He was absolutely awful, right? Completed 63% of his passes, throwing 25 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions in all 16 games. Just 2 interceptions. And we got to stop the presses. We acting like this brother's the second coming of Lamar Jackson. Can't throw right now. And that's not to disrespect Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens, because I think he's going to be really, really good. We know that he's got those wheels on him and he's special, but he's got to learn to throw the football based on what we saw in the playoff game against the Los Angeles Chargers for the first 3 quarters. But it's just absolutely asinine to me why this kind of stuff is news, but that's neither here nor there. Later on in the show, I will tell you why I think that the Los Angeles Lakers should be the favorites to win the NBA championship. I will tell you why I think the Brooklyn Nets should consider giving Carmelo Anthony an opportunity to be on their squad. So that's some of the other things that we're going to talk about today. But obviously, I got to get into a couple of things because I'm a bit agitated. I'll be the first one to admit this. I'm a bit agitated. And it stems from my conversation about this whole Jay-Z situation with the National Football League, collaborating with them to address social justice issues and what have you. Definitely being a part of their being an influencer, somebody that's going to be in control of their halftime entertainment as well. Obviously, these are kind of things that we're going to talk about. But the first order of business in a relatable item is to talk about Dolphins owner Stephen Ross and Dolphins receiver Kenny Stills finally meeting up with one another. As you know, Stephen Ross, the owner for the Miami Dolphins, scheduled to throw a fundraiser for the President Donald Trump. Kenny Stills, the wide receiver, was opposed to that because he pointed out Stephen Ross's work throughout the years with the Rise Foundation, which promotes social justice and racial equality in sports, and how he felt that was inconsistent with throwing a fundraiser for the president. And he spoke out against his owner in that regard, basically with those words. He did it without meeting with Stephen Ross. He did it on Twitter. And finally, the two met with one another, and according to Kenny Stills, they've agreed to disagree. According to an article in Pro Football Talk, the two men have met since last week's controversy fueled by the owner's decision to host a 6-figure fundraiser for the president. Stills had told the Palm Beach Post via ESPN.com that he and Ross have, quote, agreed to disagree. Stills said, quote, there's not much to argue about. He has his feelings about it, and he stands firm in that, and I respect that. But I disagree, and I told him there's no hard feelings. There's no beef, and let's win some games this year, end quote. The article goes on to read, Stills agreed to agree with Coach Brian Flores, who has lamented the fact that Stills didn't meet with Ross before publicly commenting on a perceived disconnect between the creation by Ross of the Rise Foundation. Quote, I definitely think from a professional matter, the right thing to do would have been to reach out to Ross first, Stills said. But through conversations that we have and the history that we have, it gets to a point where I'm just a person that is sharing the message, letting other people know what's happening, end quote. What's happening is that the NFL owners who have openly supported President Trump without backlash are beginning to experience some of it, and that NFL players are increasingly unwilling to stand silent. That's according to Pro Football Talk. Good job on this story. Here's the deal. I don't disagree with Kenny Stills' message. I do agree with Coach Brian Flores, who said you should talk to the owner first. He is our boss. Have a conversation with him. Let him know where you stand. As opposed to him finding out on Twitter that one of his employees is calling him to the carpet for something. And see, this is where we get into dicey territory. We get into dicey territory. Because when you talk about the National Football League, working in partnership, in concert, with Jay-Z and the Rock Nation, you have some people, I believe some people have gone too damn far. I really, really have. Because when I see some of these comments by guys like Eric Reed, who's famous for kneeling, don't get me wrong, he can play some football. He's a safety for the Carolina Panthers. But he spoke out against Jay-Z. Says he's burying Colin's career. That's what he accused Jay-Z of doing now. Okay? It's going a little bit too far. Colin Kaepernick's lady, who's known for speaking her mind. And by the way, listen, highly intelligent young lady is definitely entitled to her opinion and standing by her man the way that she does, personally speaking, I think is admirable. I've got nothing bad to say about her. But I will tell you this, I just think that people are looking at this picture all wrong. And I'm sick and tired of folks getting away with it, to be quite honest with you. I'm really sick and tired of folks getting away with it and looking at this picture all wrong. A guy like Eric Reed, safety for the Carolina Panthers, blast Jay-Z for his new partnership with the NFL, saying it looks like the rap mogul is selling out and helping bury Colin Kaepernick's career. Really? We gonna mention the word sellout and Jay-Z in the same sentence. From the streets. Rap impresario, mogul, businessman. I'm a businessman. Noted writer, justice writer. That's what he was when he worked at the New York Daily News. Sean King, who I got tremendous respect for, he sat up there and said to Jay-Z's a capitalist. No argument there. He is. He's right on point with that. But it seems like people are lining up to go after Jay-Z. And I don't understand it. I'm really at a loss for words about it. First of all, if you're Eric Reed, think about some of the things that this dude has said and done. Yes, he's taking a knee with Colin Kaepernick. Yes, he's bringing attention to racial inequality and injustices that have been exacted against the black community. I'm a black man. What could I possibly say negative about that? Of course, I appreciate where Eric Reed is coming from. But it does get to a point where it's a bit excessive. The Players Coalition, led by Malcolm Jenkins, you had a problem with that. You felt they co-opted the movement. So what do? You confront Malcolm Jenkins on the football field at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. A game is about to be played. Hasn't started yet. And you turn an NFL game into something like that. And then you wonder why somebody like you or Colin Kaepernick would be frowned upon. Because you have patrons out there who pay to watch a football game that didn't come to the stadium, an NFL stadium, for that. Why is that relevant? Because Eric Reed is on the record saying they did not have a problem. They did not have a problem with the National Football League. That's what Eric Reed said. That's what he went on Twitter and said. We didn't have a problem until, and I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he was basically saying the NFL promoted systemic racism, what have you. Listen, here's the deal. You didn't have a problem with the NFL The NFL really didn't have a problem with you until they felt that their bottom line might be compromised. Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for weeks. Nobody said anything. Marshawn Lynch admitted on several occasions he didn't stand up for the national anthem. NFL didn't say anything. Why? Because in their collective bargaining agreement, unlike the NBA and Major League Baseball, which mandates you stand for the national anthem, the NFL didn't mandate it. They strongly encouraged it, but they didn't mandate it. And because they didn't mandate it, a player was free to exercise their right not to stand for the national anthem. NFL didn't say anything. It wasn't until it was brought to the attention of the masses, and then the president sat up there and said he fired those SOBs.